Today I'm going to summarize another book on psychology called Persuasion. Honestly, the more books I read on psychology, the more I get scared, because it makes me realize how easy it is to manipulate someone. The scariest part is that most of these tactics you will hear in this video are so hidden that your conscious mind can't catch them. It happens subconsciously. They are a bit like a magic pill. You give it to someone before you talk to them, and they start believing you, or behaving differently. They feel like they are in control and made a conscious decision, but they are not. For example, in an experiment, they sent a very good-looking guy, a model-type guy, to approach random women in a shopping mall and ask for their number, or for a date. Now, giving your phone number to a complete stranger is a risky thing to do. Of course, the guy got a lot of no's, but he got quite a few yeses whenever he approached a woman in front of a particular store. Can you guess what type of store it was? No, it wasn't a perfume store or a chocolate store. It was a flower store. If you look at it, flowers are related to romance, and it subconsciously impacted their behavior, causing them to give out their number. After the experiment, they asked the participants who gave their numbers, "Did the store have anything to do with your decision?" All of them responded, "Of course not. I made a conscious decision to give my number." In a similar experiment, again a guy approached women on the street, asking for a date. This time, researchers were testing how the results would change, depending on the object the guy was carrying in his hand. There was one particular object that brought a lot of yeses. Can you guess what that object was? Well, it was a guitar case. Let's look at another example from the business world. There's an interesting experiment with an online furniture store. Researchers directed half of the buyers to a landing page that had soft clouds on the background image, and half to a page that had pictures of coins. People who saw clouds focused on softness and comfort when choosing furniture. The people who saw coins, they focused on price and tried to find the cheapest options. After the experiment, when asked if the coins or clouds played a role in their decision, all of them laughed and said no. They said, "We are independent, conscious people. Clouds or coins had absolutely no impact on us." Okay, so far, both experiments were related to visual objects. How about using words? Can we create the same effect, but with words? The answer is yes, and here's how. A salesperson was failing to sell his $75,000 product. Whenever he mentioned the price, many clients tried to negotiate, and when they couldn't get the lower price they wanted, they just walked away. This way, he lost a lot of clients. Then he made a small change during his presentation. Before mentioning the price, he would jokingly say, "Well, obviously I can't charge you $1 million for this product." Whenever he said that sentence, almost no one tried to negotiate or complained that $75,000 was a lot of money. Why? Because $75,000 seemed quite small compared to $1 million. And yes, I absolutely agree with you that jokingly mentioning $1 million has nothing to do with the $75,000 product, and it shouldn't change people's behavior. But that's not the reality. The reality is that subconsciously, it impacted their perception of the price. In an experiment, marketers wanted customers to test a new energy drink and give feedback. Many people didn't agree, which is understandable since the product was new and could create resistance. So marketers tried another tactic. This time, before making the request, they asked people, "Do you consider yourself to be an adventurous person?" Many said yes, they were adventurous. And then, when offered to try the new energy drink, they agreed. I would like to give you an example that happened to me personally. Once I was meeting with a banker, and somehow we ended up talking about the investment products they were offering. He described a few products, but none got my attention. So I was half listening, and half thinking about when I was going to leave. But then, before describing the next product, he said something that made me wake up lean forward, and listen carefully. He said, "The next product I'm going to talk about is the one that I would recommend even to my mother to invest in." As soon as I heard that sentence, I felt strong trust toward him and the product. Probably not on purpose, but he activated one of the most powerful persuasion principles that Robert Cialdini calls unity. Unity refers to a shared identity that both the influencer and the influenced are part of. The idea that we share an identity with someone else causes us to want to say yes to them, much more than to someone outside that unit. If a communicator can show that he or she belongs to the same group as we are before delivering the message, then we are much more open to cooperating, or believing them. Let me give an example. A big concern for investors has always been, what happens to Buffett's firm, Berkshire Hathaway, when he's no longer in charge? In a letter to shareholders about succession plans, Buffett wrote, "I will tell you what I would say to my family today if they asked me about Berkshire's future." With that language, Buffett was highly convincing, because he said he was advising readers in the same way he would advise a family member. The most powerful form of unity is in the family. People go to great lengths, even risking their lives, to help close relatives. Robert shows you how you can use family-driven unity even when trying to influence people who aren't your own relatives. In one of his college classes, Robert wanted students and their parents to fill out a questionnaire. Student compliance was always very high, but parents typically responded at a far lower rate, often below 20%. One small tweak increased the parent response rate to 97%. What was the simple tweak? Robert said he would give the students an extra point on one test if their parents completed the survey. 1 point on one test in a semester-long course is an inconsequential benefit. It would be unlikely to affect the student's final grade at all. But by invoking the concept of helping a family member, he increased the response rate 5-fold, from poor to nearly perfect. The implications of these studies and examples are huge. This means if I can shift your attention to, let's say, helpfulness, fairness, or romance before I deliver my message, then at that moment you become a helpful, fair, or romantic person. In other words, by using persuasion tactics, I can change your identity in that particular situation. I can change who you are. I can change how you perceive yourself, and I can change how you perceive me and my message. This next experiment is pretty impressive, and will explain why we get influenced so easily. In Belgium, researchers brought a group of people together and showed them a picture of a household object, but with different background images. They divided the people into 3 groups. In the first group's background picture, there was a single person standing alone. The second groups had 2 people standing next to each other, but separately. Finally, in the third group's picture, there were 2 people standing shoulder to shoulder. Now, during the experiment, researchers stood up and accidentally dropped several items on the floor to see who would get down on their knees and help. From the first and second groups, only 20% of people helped. But the results were 3 times higher in the third group, the ones who saw 2 people standing shoulder to shoulder. Now, this isn't the most interesting part of the experiment. The most interesting part is that the subjects were only 18-month-old children who had no logical reasoning and could barely talk. This experiment proves how primitive and fundamental this process is, and why subconsciously every single one of us can easily be influenced, regardless of the level of logic or intelligence. For example, research shows that if you simply put a picture of a thinking man in the corner of the screen while someone does a task, they become more analytical and make fewer mistakes. Or, if you put a picture of a person winning a race, then they perform better, it positively affects their results. Now let's see in real life how we can apply what we learned from these experiments. I have 6 practical tips for you, but first, I'd like to give you one analogy that will summarize everything we've covered so far and make the central lesson very easy to understand. Imagine you are planting a seed. If you want the seed to grow and bear fruit, you need to do 2 things right. Number 1, choose a good quality seed. Number 2, prepare the soil right. If the soil isn't prepared well, then the seed isn't going to grow, no matter how good the seed is. Using this analogy, we can say the seed is the message you use to convince others. And this book, and all the experiments and examples you've heard so far, are about preparing the soil. What you say to persuade is important, but what you put in front of your message before it's delivered is sometimes more important. In other words, your seed is important, but first, you have to make sure the soil is brought to the right condition to grow that seed. You saw this yourself in all the experiments. There was always a sentence, a request, or a picture that came before the message was delivered, which completely changed people's behavior. Alright, let's move on to those 6 tips I mentioned earlier. Number 1. If you are giving away a free product to your clients, you might consider giving the product to their family members instead of the clients themselves. That can be more effective. Remember the experiment with students and parents and how 1 point increased their response rate. Number 2, let's say you have a product and you need your client's help to improve it. Instead of saying, "What is your feedback?" or "What is your opinion on this product?" you can say, "What's your advice on this product?" The difference seems small, but the effect is quite big, because the word advice creates unity, it creates a togetherness effect. The word advice makes people take 1 step forward toward you, while opinion or feedback makes them take 1 step backward, away from you. As you've probably already guessed, this one is related to the concept of unity. Remember the Warren Buffett example, and my meeting with the banker. Number 3, if you're planning to ask for a salary raise at work, then do it at a time when you have received nice feedback from customers, or when you have achieved something great at work. This is the time when the results of your great work are in the center of attention. This tip is related to the energy drink experiment. Number 4, if you're a student and trying to convince other students to donate to some cause, you can mention that you are also a student. That would automatically activate the unity principle and increase donations. Again, this one is related to the unity principle. Number 5, decorate your environment according to your goals. Until reading books like this one, I used to believe that it was stupid to write motivational phrases or words on office walls. You've probably seen such phrases: courage, success, winning, quality, customer first, etc. It turns out that these things actually work and impact us subconsciously. So think about what you're trying to achieve and how you can decorate your room to put you in that state of mind. For example, when my goal was to make $10,000 per month, I went on Amazon and bought a fake $10,000 stack and put it on my desk to remind me of my goal. When I wanted to invest more, I printed out the phrase "make money work for you," framed it as a picture and put it on my desk. You can also do small things, like changing the background picture on your phone or computer. You can listen to different types of music according to the type of work you're doing. If the task requires you to be highly focused, just Google "music for focus" and listen to it while working on that task. For example, before I start writing scripts like this one, I always watch a video from my favourite YouTuber. I like his videos because they're high quality, and he can explain complex topics in a very simple way. Just passively playing some of his videos before I start writing puts me into the right mindset, where I'm also focused on quality and simplicity. Number 6, bring the person to the right mindset before you deliver your message. Let me explain with an example. Once I wanted to convince one of my colleagues to do things differently in our project.
Both of us knew that this change would be great for the project. However, he simply didn't want to do it because it would mean extra work for him. Especially at the time, we had a few other arguments in previous days, so he was in a mindset where he would just disagree with whatever I suggested. So after 2 failed attempts to convince him, I tried a tactic from this book, and it worked. What did I do differently this time? Well, before I opened the topic, I said this. Do you remember 3 months ago, you suggested a change that I disagreed with? But since it was for the benefit of the project, I agreed to do it. He said yes. I said, okay, today, thanks to that change, you suggested we have great improvements in our project. At the time I was against it, but I agreed to what you suggested because it was best for the project. It wasn't about you, nor about me, it was about what is best for the project. Now today, I'm asking you for a change, and we both know that it's the best thing for the project. So what do you say we both put our egos aside and implement the change I'm suggesting? He thought a little bit, and said yes, and that was the end of the story. The reason this worked was that I shifted his mindset from arguing to doing what was best for the project. Think about your life. You probably have also had similar situations. What are the things you can say or do before you deliver your message to bring the person to the right mindset so that he or she would be more receptive to your message? Do you need the person to be fair, romantic, honest, or cooperative? Define what it is that you want. Find a sentence or thing that would put the person in that mindset, and then deliver your message. And of course,
do it ethically. Not just this tactic, but all of them. You might ask, what will happen if I don't do it ethically? For example, what would happen if you decide to use them unethically in your company against your customers? Well, your employees will see what you are doing, and they will start using the same sneaky techniques against their own customer, which is you. So it's highly likely to backfire. One more thing. Always keep in mind that you are not immune to such tactics and can be easily influenced. For example, a friend or colleague might mention a small favour they did for you before they ask for a big favour. Mentioning the small favour will put you in a mindset where you will feel a strong urge to help them back. Helping others who helped us is deeply coded into our DNA, and it's very hard to fight against it. If the favour they ask is equal to the favour they did for us, then all is good. But sometimes they use their small favour as bait to get you to agree to something much larger. So in those situations, don't give an answer right away. Take your time. Tell them that you'll think about it and let them know your decision. If you rush it, you are highly likely to agree to their request and then regret it. This has happened to me personally multiple times. I have agreed to do things that I regretted later. Finally, my goal with this video was number 1, to increase awareness about the weaknesses every single one of us possesses so that we can protect ourselves. And number 2, show you ways you can apply them ethically to your life, job, or your business. I hope it was a useful video. If you want to see similar videos to this one, then check out the video you see on your screen. Have a great day.